Hello, hello, and welcome. Go ahead and come into a comfortable seat and close your eyes for just a moment and start to feel your body breathing. When we notice and tune in like this, it helps not only with our awareness and calms the nervous system, but it also allows us to prevent injury. Go ahead and slip that block out from underneath the hips. And we're going to come all the way onto the back. So lie down and cross your right leg over your left. Your left knee is bent up and the right leg over the left. Now we'll take both knees way over to the right until you feel a nice, gentle twist in the spine. Back to the center. Over to the right. Back to the center. Over to the right. And back to the center. And keep doing this exercise at this nice slow pace. Breathing in and out of the nose. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and uncross and cross the other leg over, left over right this time. Taking both knees way over to your left. To your center, left and center. Fantastic. And go ahead and uncross, roll to your side, push up to seated to come out of the posture. And we're going to stand all the way up. I'll give you a moment to get situated. So I want to emphasize standing tall with your weight shifted over the heels. Just notice the back of your head being over the back of your hips, over the back of your heels. All right, from here, we're going into a forward fold. So, number one rule, ribs touch thighs. You are welcome to bend your knees as much as you'd like to make that happen. And even take the fingertips behind the heels if your weight tends to shift towards the toes. Feel that spine relax. And then we're going to push up to standing. So we're going to do a chair pose sequence, and you'll need a block and a strap for this, so hit pause if you don't have one. We're starting off with a nice, simple chair pose, shifting the weight into the heels, please, and lifting those arms up if you'd like a little extra back bend here. Deep breathing, in and out of the nose, slow and smooth. Lift your thigh bones up into the hip sockets to stand, and let your arms drop. I'm going to show this time from the side. Same thing, shift the weight into the heels and come down into your chair pose. Imagine your thigh bones kind of pulling in towards those hip sockets. It's going to make the very upper part of the thigh work a little bit harder. Again, you're welcome to the arms in front of the chest or up. Lifting up, pulling the thigh bones up into the hip sockets, and then take a forward fold. All right, we're going to sit the hips down a little bit and then pull the hip sockets, the thighs up into the hip sockets a few times. So bend and then pull the hips up into the hip sockets. You'll feel a little less pressure on your knee joint, like, my thighs are doing this work instead of my knee joints. And maybe if you're squatting, go ahead and see about your squat. Interlace your fingers, exhale, and push up to standing. Very nice. Good, good. Okay, so we're going to roll this part of the mat. And this is the first, from standing to squat we're doing. So I'm going to give you a little edge here. Put that rolled up mat under your heels. And then shift the weight into your heels as you come into your squat. And don't worry about what it looks like right now. We're going to develop this over the course of this session today. So push through your heels, pull your thigh bones up into the hip sockets to lift up. Yes, yes. And gently come out. And we're going to grab a block and we're going to put it between the legs, right above the knees. So make it its skinniest. It's going to feel quite wide a little bit. So shifting the weight over the heels, come into your chair pose again. Either arms in front of the chest. If you'd like a little bit more back bend, you're certainly welcome to lift those arms up into Utkatasana or Thunderbolt pose, to speak in yoga terms. Lift the thighs up into the hip sockets. Yes, yes. And breathe. Let's do one more of these with the block in between the legs. I'm going to turn to the side this time. Shift the weight over the heels. Come into chair pose, Utkatasana. This is actually called, this one is chair pose, and it's called Purva Utkatasana. It's an important point for when we come into a squat. And Purva actually in Sanskrit means like kind of the first half, or the front half. Let's go ahead and drop the blocks and pick up your yoga strap. If you don't have a yoga strap, you can also use a really long scarf and kind of maneuver it. But you do want something taut. So we're going to make a small to medium-ish loop. And then we're going to put the legs through it, like you're putting on a skirt. And then you might need to cinch it up a little bit, tighten it, monkey with it just a bit. And here we go. We're going to do chair pose. This time you're going to feel some different muscles working. And shifting the weight into the back of the heels, of course. And arms in front of the chest. You notice a theme here, right? Every time, each and every time. Lifting the arms up if you wish. Sink down into the heels and lift your thigh bones up into the hip sockets to stand. And relax. Take a breath. One more of these. Shift your weight over the heels. And chair pose. Make sure all 10 of those toes are forward. And then again, you're welcome to lift those arms up if you like that back bend. It's nice for working on posture. Let's take a nice deep breath and then lift the thighs up into the hip sockets. Release. Beautiful. All right, we're done with the strap. Okay, let's do another forward fold. It's going to feel real nice after that sequence. Bend your knees, rest your ribs on your thighs, let your head totally hang toward the floor. And just to get the shoulder out of the mix, just put your forearms behind your calves. Pull the shoulders slightly towards your knees. And breathe. In and out of the nose. See if you can relax here. 10% more. Lengthen the spine. Exhale to stand with a straight spine. We're not going to roll through the spine here. So you may roll your mat up again if you wish and put your heels on that rolled up piece. And if your heels are way up and your ankles are super tight, you might want to roll it up thick. So it's up to you. We're going to come down into our squat and just kind of check things out. Feel and notice. Feel and notice. All right, let's open up the ankles. So ankles, when they're tight, can sometimes inhibit your squat. This is a little release. So if you have a tennis ball or a fascia ball or yoga tune-up ball, that's what we're going to use. And we're going to roll up and down the outside of the shin bone. These are the muscles that control the ankle. And just roll right up and down and find a nice juicy spot to release. Don't forget to breathe. Now there's this nice little meaty part near the knee. That might be something juicy to explore. And when you get into that feeling, if you kind of wiggle your ankle around, you can also maybe feel a release. So for some people, this is a little bit less effective, and this is an alternative way that you can also release that the muscles in the lower leg that control that ankle. So I'm going to show this. You just maneuver your body right over that ball. And because the other one's more effective, I'm going to go and finish this exercise in that first variation. And let's switch. Second side. And don't forget to breathe. So earlier I said that chair pose, the Sanskrit name or the yoga term for it is Purva Utkatasana. And squat is kind of like the second half of chair pose, or the back half of chair pose. And it is called Uttara Purva Utkatasana. Wow, that's a mouthful. But it's just a little FYI for you. Go ahead and come out. And now you are welcome to roll that mat up again, or actually, let's go into this next pose. We're going to do a little plantar fascia stretch. So tuck your toes underneath you. If you need a little bit more, you can come back onto your hands. But look, that is difficult to do for many of us whose feet are a little tight, so be where you are today. Now we're going to flatten the feet, sit back in hero's pose, and lean back. Nice. You guys are doing great, by the way. Now let's roll up that mat and maybe put it under the heels. Or perhaps roll it up a little less, but check out your squat. Now, if you feel like, oh, my ankles are released and I was almost there, you might do this even without the rolled up piece this time. The idea is for all of us to be at the level that we're at. This is another little ankle stretch. I like to tuck the toes under and come into the hip. This also feels nice for the hip. So the pedicure is on the floor and you're sitting into that hip. And release. All right, again, you're welcome to roll up the mat, but you don't need to. Going into another squat. And breathe here. And just notice what's feeling different. Forward fold. Let your back relax. Exhale, push up to standing. Okay. So take a breath. We're going to work on the knees for a moment. So have a seat on the floor and get ready. So the knee joint can be tight, and you might not even know this because you don't have anything with your knees, but humor me here. Work with me here. We're going to do these knee stretches, and I want you to focus on this stretchy part where the heel kind of goes toward the hip. So squeeze tight and relax. Squeeze tight, relax, like that. And usually, how many do we do? 5 to 8-ish, something like that. Again, the squeeze is the most important part. If you don't have any knee pain, you won't immediately know what this does unless you're in a pose like a squat. And so what are we gonna do next? One more. And then we're coming back into that squat. So again, you're welcome to roll it. I'm feeling good and open, so I'm gonna skip it. And you're welcome to do whatever feels best for you today. Just notice the difference. Beautiful. All right. This next exercise is going to be a little hip flexor opener. This is for the fascia of the hip flexors. All right, so we're going to take the head over the hips. Now, I like to always tell people to start with your hand on the back of your head and the back of your hips, because we don't know when we lean forward many times, myself included. I'm included in this we group. Let's externally rotate. Back foot is right behind the front foot. And then we're internally rotating. So the back foot is now out to the side. I'm gonna flip around so that I can show you this from this angle. Yep. Back of the head, over the back of the hips. And immediately you'll notice your foot starts to come behind you. I'm waving at you like a flight attendant because I'm showing you, we wanna be on this north-south train track. Sometimes when we're in this internal rotation, we tend to veer off to the, like northeast or something. But let's down dog to switch the block over to the other side. And we're gonna travel forward and back. These are small movements because we're working on the connective tissue. But what you'll notice is you're getting a bigger stretch than perhaps it might look like. Like if someone walked in the room right now, they wouldn't think that this is as nice and stretchy as it is. Let's externally rotate and travel forward and back here, just little movements. If you're feeling really confident about that head over the hips, you're welcome to hands on the hips now. And internal rotation this side. Remember to stay on that north-south train track here. There's my flight attendant thingy. And don't forget to breathe. And release. All right, so hip flexors are kind of tricky because we always think we need to stretch them, but we actually need to also strengthen them. So we're going to do a little strengthener. This is what really opens up the hip flexors here for your squat. So we're going to balance on the sitting bones and take the right arm out and kick the right knee towards the right shoulder. I'm going to flip around here in a second and show you what it looks like from the side. That's right. Okay, let's do the second side. And you might exhale when the knee comes up toward the shoulder. And check out your squat again. You may roll the mat or not. But notice what this is feeling like. And remember back to that first squat we did together. And just notice how that is. If you want to take your squat up a notch, put your feet together. Makes it a little more challenging, doesn't it? We're always looking to grow, right? So anyone who wants to start that squat with your feet together, you are welcome to it. But just enjoy wherever you are here in your squat. Breathe and let your spine relax. Chest lifted. And gently come out. All right. Let's do a little twist. Come into a double L sitting position with your right leg forward. We're going to twist over that right shoulder. Place the elbows on the floor. And I love the use of a block here. So if you have a block handy, you are welcome to do this with me. Take the block in your left hand and place your palm on the top of it and gently let your palm sink into the block. Let's switch sides. Take your block with you. Twist and release. And elbows to the floor. Breathing. Now add the block. Reach. And gentle pressure, gentle press. One more deep breath. And then slowly, gently come on to your back and rest. Lengthen your legs out for Shavasana. And just rest for a little while and let your body absorb this practice. Let your brain absorb this practice. It's an absolute pleasure practicing with you. Thank you for sharing your practice with me today. And if you have questions, leave those in the comments. I'll see you next time. In the meantime, take really good care.